Welcome to the Quantum Connection podcast. We are your hosts, Vanessa and Heather.
Join us as we explore the new quantum health paradigm.
Learn how to reconnect with nature to regain your health and to mitigate the impact of modern living.
As quantum health coaches and classical homeopaths, our mission is to inspire and motivate you on your healing journey.
This is for educational purposes only.
Let's dive into today's show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Connection podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Vanessa Baldwin, with my amazing co-host, Heather Crimson. Today, we have a really exciting episode for you. We're going to talk all about the root causes of thyroid issues and how we can support thyroid health really from a quantum circadian standpoint and even from a homeopathic standpoint as well. We want to remind you also that we really greatly appreciate you guys tuning into the show. And if you can, we really appreciate rating, especially those written reviews are so super helpful to getting the podcast to grow. And of course, you can join us on YouTube. Mine is Bright Light Wellness and Heather Crimson's is Enlightened Mood. So that would be amazing. Heather, you ready to talk about thyroid today?
Absolutely. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. So thyroid, I just want to start off by reminding all of you that thyroid issues are yet just another way of your body expressing that there's some imbalance, that something is not working right. It's just a symptom. I think I mean, yes, it can be very severe, the thyroid, the impact of the imbalanced thyroid, but again, it's still just symptoms of your body letting you know that something is not right. And so I just want to dissuade people from thinking it's like it's terminal disease. No, it's a temporary state of imbalance in your body. And through embracing circadian practices and other adjustments that you can make, I always look at circadian as a foundation and then diet and all the other stuff that stack on top of that. You can totally reverse these symptoms.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, like you said, I love that. It's just nothing that it's something that's very fixable. I love that standpoint of it. It's something that can definitely make traction and can get better. So that's awesome, right? We have to realize that. And again, it's just that a symptom of a greater imbalance in the body. And then just, it's figuring out what those triggers are and how do we get the body back into balance, right? And not everybody, is going to have the same trigger and have the same experience of the same symptom, right? It really depends on you, your genetic predispositions that you're born with. Like for me, that's very apparent in my family lineage, thyroid, metabolic issues. So this is why it's one of the genetic predispositions that I have. So it's something that I've dealt with, right? So that's really that epigenetics, right? Something in the environment has activated it, right? There's some sort of trigger. And what I've seen in myself and in clients, that it's usually some sort of suppression, whether it's medications or some sort of suppression on the emotional level. So, those are usually the triggers that are most apparent. So again, it's not like it's just genetic. There's nothing you can do about it. If we can turn these signalings on, we can turn these signals off as well, right? So that's what's really so important here to take away. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's just review the suppressive things that we do to ourselves that will impact your body's overall ability to conduct all these processes, which again are electromagnetic. So anything that's going to compromise or hamper your body's ability to send those messages, which are quantum in nature, is going to affect things like your thyroid, if that's where it's manifesting, like you're saying, Vanessa, based on your genetic predispositional template. So, birth control, abortions, morning after pill that affects your hormones. Of course, anything that affects your hormones is going to affect any part of your hormonal system. Steroids, antibiotics, the jabs, and then suppressing anything on your skin, which I know is really hard because we don't want to look, bad out on our outside, but that is always risky. And I'll be honest, it's hard for me to not want to suppress something on my skin because it's hard on us emotionally, right? So, and then the next one is the ones that I've been most immersed in because of my, many years of doing psychotherapy, also my own journey with recovering from a lot of trauma, is suppressed emotion. So remember, I think it's the hardest also to grasp the idea that how deeply, not damaging, but the negative impact of suppressed emotions on our physiology can be, again, leading to cancer for people who have a lot of avoidance of their emotions. So, unresolved trauma, all the things, grief, all of those things are going to slow down and bog down your body's electromagnetic capacity because there are kinks, so to speak, in the system, right? Things are not flowing and there's energy problems. So, suppressed emotions are definitely going to contribute to things like thyroid functionality. And
Hmm.
so what is it being able to express your emotions? So what's the opposite of the emotional suppression is like being able to speak your truth, being assertive, being able to say what you want and don't want, right? So I've had so many clients who over the years I do a body-based approach, right? So they would be noticing that the emotions literally would come out of their tissues and start to arise. They would rise up their neck, they would feel it and their neck would kind of start to clench and then their jaw would clench and then that would get stuck like right here behind their eyes. Your body wants to release this trapped energy. It absolutely wants to discharge it. And so what we do is because our mind gets in the way of this is not good, I'm weak, right? This is dangerous. It's too intense. So we kind of go like this and we clamp down on it. All of
Mm.
that stuff is what's contributing to these physical symptoms. And the emotional aspect is contributing to the physical symptoms.
It's always connected, right? The emotions are always connected to the physical, 100%. And yeah, I mean, 100% just not being able to speak your truth. You know, a lot of times in homeopathy, we'll see that the symptom of I have a lump in my throat, you know, I feel that all the time, or I am clenching my jaw, all that, like it's all through here, right? Not being able to let all that out and release it. And of course, that's going to affect our whole body and our whole system, right? Yeah. So important. So the suppressed emotions and then anything that's going to affect the hormones in far as like different kind of medications are huge. And then like a lot of times people who another trigger is like multiple infections due to like a very suppressed immune system. So this is probably people who have taken a lot of suppressive therapies in the past, and then they're getting kind of chronic multiple infections and the immune system is so suppressed and they can't like remove those chronic infections. They're all kind of stuck, right? Because the immune system is not strong enough to mount a response to remove these, multiple infections. And usually a lot of times suppression of allergies, suppression of anything on the throat or in the respiratory area is going to lead to thyroid issues. So if you're suppressing, I don't know, you have cysts in here, or you have strep throat, or you have like pneumonia or like respiratory issues, it all can wind up here in the thyroid and really cause what we would say as deeper pathology in the thyroid, right? So it can, and the acutes, like we've talked about many times on this show, is that those acute go away. You don't have the strep, you don't have, the sore throat, you don't have the respiratory infections, but now you have those kind of multiple infections that really were not really dealt with. They're still kind of stuck there. And then you're dealing now with a thyroid issue. So it's like the acutes go away, the deeper pathology develops, and that acute bacteria kind of takes up like resonance in the thyroid cell receptors where the thyroid hormone, vitamin D, iodine belong, and they can't bind to the cell anymore. So that can be an issue. And also, this is also seen with overdoing vitamin D supplementation, like you're taking 10,000 IUDs, which is something that I did for a very long time. And it was kind of not, this root causes are always multifactorial. I will say that, but it did correlate to when I got my diagnosis of Hashimoto's, which is interesting. It was a little bit before. And I was taking 10,000 IUDs for a couple of years. But anyway, again, overdoing it, then it's the same thing. There's too much in the receptors. Now you can't get things where they belong, like the vitamin D receptors, right, are all clogged up. It's too much. And then we know that every disease is related to mitochondrial dysfunction, like literally every disease. And again, it all depends on your constitution, your level of health, we say, your vital force, how strong you are, how you were when you were born, whether, if your mitochondrial function was kind of already lower level of health when you're born, it's harder, right? But it's definitely related to that. And it's definitely related to like toxin overload, non-native EMF exposure, artificial light, poor quality food, poor circadian rhythm, never going outside, just like improper meal timing, and all of this lifestyle choices is going to extremely fuel inflammation and reduce our body's ability to heal and repair. So we can make a lot of lifestyle choices here that can support the body to heal and repair instead of, you know, having so many things that disrupt that ability to heal, right?
Absolutely. Starting with light, which we'll get to. So,
Yes, 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 yes.
so probably most of our audience is familiar with some of these symptoms, but we're going to go over them anyway, just as a refresher of hyperthyroid. So there's hyper, so and hypo. So an overfunctioning thyroid and then an underfunctioning thyroid, right? So hyperthyroid is when you have symptoms including fast heartbeat, insomnia, diarrhea. Also, you can have weight loss, anxiety, goiter. So when you get the bulging in the neck,
You
higher.
can also get the bulging eyes, which I
Oh,
forgot to
right.
mention as well. In the hyperthyroid, you can get the bulging eyes. Yeah, it's a good one.
People pictures online of that. That's pretty
Mhm.
stark
Yeah.
presentation there. You can be hot or warmer in your body, have some mood issues, and then the loss of your cycles. And then hypothyroid, so lower function. This is what I would have over the years, but it's better now, much, much better with circadian practices, is constipation, fatigue, depression, weight gain, hair loss, bloating, intolerant to cold, mood issues, insomnia, and heavy cycles. So, you may not have all of those. You may have some of them. Like I never had hair loss. Like I have plenty of hair, but I had a lot of the other ones. So definitely had issues with low thyroid function. And I honestly, Vanessa, we didn't talk about this off camera, but I did dabble in some thyroid supplementation, which never actually worked for me. So
That's
I did
interesting.
the nature throid. I think I even did something that was like synthroid once, but it never helped and it didn't feel good. And so I just gave up on all of that stuff.
Well, it wasn't actually getting to the root cause of the issue, right? It
I
wasn't
started
healing this, it wasn't healing the suppression of, medications that you take in. It's not healing the emotional issue. It's not healing the mitochondrial dysfunction or having you change your lifestyle, right? So this is why those medications unfortunately don't work a lot. Now, me, like there's also you could have Hashimoto's or Graves, which is the autoimmune component. And I've had Hashimoto's. I have thyroid antibodies that show Hashimoto's. So my thyroid is like, when you have Hashimoto's, it does this wonderful thing where you cycle in and out between hypo and hyper. So it's like some days you feel hyper, some days you feel hypo, and it kind of like can go back and forth. So I've experienced like literally most of these symptoms. I mean, I actually don't think there's one that I have not experienced before.
Sounds like it
Actually.
makes me feel crazy.
Yes, that's why people do feel crazy when they have thyroid symptoms, because I mean, of course, mine are so much better now too. Like, let's just say that all the lifestyle that I live really is supporting the homeopathic medicines that I've taken have really supported. But this is like, I'm going to say this nicely. There's no quick fix. I have to do these things forever. Like I have to do these lifestyle practices and principles on the regular, probably for the rest of my life, to keep this inflammatory response lower, to keep my body healthy and strong. Like I can't go bathe myself in artificial blue light like at night. Like it's something that I can't do. I don't have a lot of flexibility there for me right now, at
Good
least
news
not
though is
yet.
why would you want to?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, of course not. But my point is
That
that the solutions that we're going to give, if you have, especially on the autoimmune component way, you're going to want to be kind of more more diligent, and probably something that you might have to do for an ongoing period of your life,
yeah.
probably most of your life.
And what I'm getting at is it's
It's a
so for
lifestyle.
me though, it's so pleasurable. Like
Yeah.
natural light is like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a gourmet meal for me. Honestly, like I feel so different. It's not just the knowing of it in my mind cognitively, Vanessa,
Mm.
like this is bad for me, this artificial light and da da da, and this is good for me. It feels so different in my body. The thing is our bodies are always letting us know what is good for us. Yes, in every domain, emotionally and whatnot, it's all in there. The information is there. And if we really pay attention to what our body's doing when there's harsh artificial light, it's like the body doesn't like it. And then if you pay attention to how soothing and nourishing natural light feels, it's, your body's like, yes, more please. This feels amazing. So it's true that we have to pay attention to and most people are not paying attention to their body signals, right? So
Mm-mm.
I just want to throw that out there that it's a lifestyle of pleasure. Let's be honest.
I love that as a lifestyle of pleasure. And I completely agree. Like my body loves to get up and go out and see the sunrise and take a sunrise walk. And it loves to go to bed at 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night. Like I'm like, people are like, why? I'm like, I'm actually tired. And this is my body sending me the signal to go to sleep. And I like it. And if I ignore that signal sometimes and I don't go to sleep and my body is recommending that I go to bed, sometimes then I have a little bit of a harder time falling asleep, which is annoying, right? I'd rather just go to bed when my body's sending me that signal when I'm tired, and that's what I should be doing, right? But yeah, we have to see it as a lifestyle change and shifts, the things that we're going to mention here to support your thyroid health and really to support your overall health. And we have to see it as we have to listen to our bodies and gauge how our body feels when we're in different environments or in different experiences, with different people, in our lives. How do we feel? Like all of these things, like if we start paying attention to all of that, that's huge on a health journey and a healing journey. Like my body does not feel good when I'm with XYZ person because they're triggering me to feel unsafe or triggering me to my nervous system or whatever. Then you got to think about that, like with the relationships in your life. There's so many components to all of this, right?
Yeah, and yet it's still all connected. So that's the beauty of it, right? It all
Yes, 100%.
the energy of what you're experiencing. So what are the solutions? What are we proposing? And it's more of an invitation. We are inviting you to consider these lifestyle practices. Again, for me, they're very pleasurable, like sunrise. What could be more magnificent than getting up and seeing the sunrise? Because it really just it nourishes our whole being on a spiritual level and a physical, everything in between. So sunrise every day to set your circadian rhythm. All the research shows strong circadian rhythm is associated with higher level of health. So if you want to help your thyroid get up and get that sunrise light, and also the anti-inflammatory effects of the red and infrared light. So that's the first order of business, which is hard if you're not feeling good. I noticed, Vanessa, years ago when I started doing circadian practices, it took very little time to start to acclimate and reset my circadian rhythm so that I always wake up before sunrise. So it's not like this effort. It's easy to get up. Yes, do I might have a difficult night once in a while and then I don't want to get up? Sure, but I always get up anyway. Even if I don't see the actual sun rising, I'll get up shortly thereafter if it's been one of those bad nights. So always, always, always sunrise.
Yeah, I literally wake with the sunrise just about every morning. And it's funny is that I don't know if I was here that I mentioned you're aware, but we travel with the RV and it's like my body will still wake up at the sunrise time, which is different, like slightly. And I'm like, how does that happen? Like literally, it's like magic, right? Because it's just really incredible. And sunrise is such a spiritual practice for me too. And of course, it's better when you can actually see it. It's more beautiful. And I think about all the time, like how many sunrises I've missed in my lifetime, right? Like over the years, like it's like so sad. Like it's this magical, amazing thing that happens every day. And so is sunset. Like we were driving the other day in the RV home from South Carolina and the sunset was just so gorgeous, like over all these like farms. And I was like, the windows, of course, open, not to block any of it. And I'm just like, this is so magical. Like, how do people not stare at this in awe every day? This literally magical thing that happens. It's such a spiritual practice, really, for me too. So,
yeah, how nourishing that is for your whole body. Just think about that emotional experience and spiritual experience and how uplifting that is and how that supports everything in your body. So
why does every spiritual, practice worship the sun? Like literally, it's like so many of them. Like we all know think about all the songs that are about the sun, right? Like all these things, right? We all know like how important it is for our health and our physiology. So anyway, get out at the sunrise if you can. If you're struggling, just do the best and get out as soon as you can. And then slowly try to get up earlier and earlier, that's okay too. But sunrise light's gonna, set the circadian rhythm. It activates the sex hormones. The blue light in the eye is what activates the sex hormones and helps kickstart all of that. And it also gets the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis going. Carrie Bennett said this so beautifully on one of the podcasts we did with her. I can't spit it out as beautifully as she can, but that light signal into the eye to the suprachiasmatic nucleus will be like, okay, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal go is what she said. And then it was like hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis go. So it lights, literally, it's like a light show in your body that lights all of this up to get it going and moving. And that's what we need, that to happen. And it's going to, if you're on the hypothyroid state, it's going to help bring it back up into balance. And if you're in the hyper, it's going to help bring it back into balance that way, right? So get the light in the eyes, especially. I know we've said it before, but no contact glasses, sunglasses, of course, blocking it, right? To activate these hormonal pathways, right? And then also, if we understand that cortisol and melatonin and leptin are these master hormones, right, that we want to get into balance, light into the eye is going to activate cortisol in the correct sequence, right? That in this nice, slow trickle effect, not in this big giant burst, like if you had a cup of coffee, right, or something like that, or you did a fasted workout, and it's going to shut down melatonin production, which is what should happen. So it's going to help balance those hormones just from seeing light in the eye. And again, these are master hormones that will then affect downstream your other hormones, like your estrogen, your testosterone, your progesterone, aldosterone. All those other hormones will be affected by supporting cortisol and melatonin and leptin, which we're going to talk about next. But yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, and so you want to capture as much morning light as possible, and that includes sunrise, and then depending on your latitude and the time of the year, within 45 minutes or so, around there, 10 degrees above the horizon when the sun is, you're going to capture the next really, really important light frequency, which is called UVA light. And so the UVA light now is going to help your body to know what hormones you need more of and less of, and all through all the ones that Vanessa just mentioned. So in particular, regarding thyroid functioning, the UVA light stimulates the production of the active thyroid hormones, so T3 and T4, and tyrosine is the aromatic amino acid that is responsible for doing this, for getting that pathway started. So it activates thyroid hormone T3, and then it stimulates the production of the active thyroid hormones T3 and T4. And it's also an amino acid that's found in dairy products, so like dairy, meat, and fish, and eggs, animal products, right? So this is the precursor to the thyroid hormone production. So you've got to get out and get that UVA light. It's super important. So the aromatic amino acid is actually a benzene ring in this molecular structure, and it's like a UVA light capturing ring. Like you got a ball, the photons of light, and it's going to capture those little photons of light that traps them. So through your eyes is the main way that occurs, and it stimulates these particular molecules to produce a T3. So the light is actually the ingredient, the catalyst that helps ignite this whole hormonal pathway to get that started and to create these compounds. So
I mean, isn't that incredible? Literally, you eat the foods that contain tyrosine, like the dairy products, the meat, the fish, eggs. You do have to eat those foods because it's an essential amino acid that we need, right? So you have to eat those foods. And then the stimulus of the light captures the UVA light, and then it like sends the signal to your body to actually make more T3. Like that's like miracle, like to me. So
notice that you can't get that then if you're vegan. I mean,
that's my point. That's why I put that in there. Yeah. And the same thing with the melatonin, because melatonin comes from tryptophan, which is we're going to talk about also, but that also is the same benzene ring light trap thing. All these aromatic amino acids have these light traps, right? Which is how we know how important light is to our physiology, right? Because why would they have those, right? So I don't know. I just, every time I hear these things again and again, I'm like, this is incredible. And then like, I'm going to just mention a little bit about POMC, which is a gene that plays an important role in regulating, again, the hypothalamus, pituitary adrenal axis and the adrenal development. So again, that is, it kind of like is, it cleaves into like different peptides, right? So POMC is, it's the pro-opiomelanocortin. Let's hope that I said that right. And it cleaves into all these like little different peptides, and it regulates all these different things in our body. So it's going to regulate thyroid, but it's also going to regulate appetite. Everybody with hypothyroid has a trouble with appetite, right? So this is going to help support appetite. That's through alpha MSH, I believe, which will then support weight. It will also help support leptin signaling, which is a master hormone. So that's it's kind of like the energy conductor of the body, right? It's going to support libido. It helps produce beta endorphins, which reduce pain and boost mood. All of this is happening in UVA light. It's like, there's a bunch more too. Like UVA light is literally the superstar if you have thyroid issues. Yes, you want to get onto sunrise light to get everything is going, because that's going to help bring this, it sets the stage, right? Basically. And then you want to get into UVA. But if you have a thyroid issue, you need a lot of UVA light. Like that's like one of my number one
Every day,
recommendations.
even if it's cloudy, that doesn't matter.
Yes, the light still shines through.
So, but every day you have to get out there, even if you're just sitting there and you can't, like if you have a lot of health issues and you can't do much, or you have glasses and you can't see, just sit there. Or you can even open the window and have a screen, but you do need as much exposure as possible to start to help reverse this imbalance and get the
Yeah.
signal.
Go, just somehow get outside, or like you said, open a window and just put your feet in the grass. We'll talk about grounding a little bit, and just be out there. Just be out there at that time, because that time is so supportive. Like UVA light also helps the production, also is how we produce melanin, which is an amazing antioxidant. It helps the body make more molecular hydrogen. And that's selective. So it's going to go exactly where it needs to go into the body. And really, wherever you have inflammation, if you have thyroiditis, you have inflammation of the thyroid, right? So if you can make more melanin, right, in your skin, and then it's going to make more hydrogen, it's going to go to that thyroid and support it and make it function better. It also is your body's natural sunblock of course, which is really good, because then you're able to utilize UVB light, which we'll talk about also. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
okay. Next is the pineal gland melatonin, which we want to make in UVA light also. So again, like we were talking about tyrosine before, which is an essential amino acid, so is tryptophan. And we have to eat animal foods for this. It also contains that light trap, and it will stimulate the production of serotonin, which is really important for us as well. But later also becomes the pineal gland melatonin to help us get better sleep and repair at night and have better autophagy and apoptosis, which has to be that melatonin is only 5% of the melatonin our body makes. We're going to talk about the other 95% later, but it's still really, really important, but it only gets secreted in the presence of darkness. So if you're not blocking artificial light at night, you're going to suppress it, or it's going to be released way later than it should. You're not going to get as much healing as you should overnight. And when you have thyroid issues, it's related to the gut issues as well, and all the things, right? So we need to be getting as much healing that we can get each and every night, right? So that is definitely clutch. And also the tryptophan also stimulates B3, which is a cofactor to NAD, which actually is a coenzyme for redox reactions, making it central to energy metabolism, which is the first protein in the mitochondria. So this protein will jumpstart your energy ATP production and helps to improve carbohydrate metabolism. So just in a nutshell, UVA light is going to improve your T3. It's going to improve your energy production. It's going to improve your carbohydrate metabolism. And this is already huge for everybody who has thyroid. They have issues with carbohydrates. They have issues with energy. They often have low T3. That was always the marker that was low on mine. It's going to optimize your repair mechanism so you can get into autophagy and apoptosis. It's going to help you boost molecular hydrogen, which will be a selective antioxidant and also helps remove heavy metals from the body, which is also a contributor to thyroid issues. So it's like literally so much magic is happening in that time period of light. So I never miss it.
Right. No, I don't either, actually.
Yeah,
Even if I can only get 5 or 10 minutes, I'm always out there. But remember, I rearranged my whole schedule to where I'm able to be out all morning, and then I'll start working. If I have to be indoors at 9, it's okay, but I'd prefer to be out there. Oh, but it's like I just want to be outside all day, Vanessa, let's be honest, because then there's the UVB light.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. I rearrange my schedule too. I don't take clients till 10 o'clock because honestly, I mean, I have the kids to get ready for school, so I'm in and out, but I want to be out there for as much as morning light as I can be, because it is this important to me. It's extremely important for our health and our healing, right? So
yeah, and a lot of our modern maladies are sunlight deficiency and exposure to artificial light. So that's what we get from the poor light environment. So, but UVB follows UVA, right? And now, because we're almost getting close to the solstice, which is, it's like exciting, and then it's like, oh no.
Then it's sad.
Okay. No. But that UVB is so powerful. UVB light, everyone's so worried about that. Oh my God, it's so horrible, right? This UV, especially UVB light. Actually, that's when I feel the best, is the more of all the light spectrums I get, and UVB helps my histamine issues. That's why I get the redness on my face to just disappear, like literally. And the higher the UVB, the better I feel, and the more that some of these issues go away from me. So And what is it about UVB? It helps to our microbiome. It helps just make that so beautiful and functioning really, really well, right? It's not necessarily the probiotics, the prebiotics, and the postbiotics, or whatever the hell they are. It's this UV light. The UVB light helps really for our gut microbiome to be diverse. So it helps our immune function. It helps, obviously, you're going to get that vitamin D going on. It helps your body with detoxing. It helps deplete glucose from the liver, and it helps regulate your blood sugar. So yeah, because it helps your body to deplete glucose. So it's fantastic for all of those things for people who have issues with that. So it just is like a vitamin sun is what I call it, basically.
I love it. Vitamin sun, right? Exactly. 100%. Yeah. UVB light is also an amazing healing light frequency. So you definitely.
Yeah, but Vanessa, let's not forget to tell people that you can't just jump into this right now at this time of year. If you haven't been practicing building your solar callus and safe sun exposure since, or like, at least the middle of spring, you're not going to just jump outside right now. You have to go back and listen to our prior podcast we did one recently about safe sun exposure and the solar callus. You want to get out in the morning and then get all the different light frequencies so that your body is prepared for that, especially this time of year, getting close to the solstice, that strongest midday sun. It's really important to just mention that.
Yeah, honestly. And I have a Get Your Light Right ebook. I think it's called Light Webinar on my website now. And it's like somewhere in between 20 to 30 bucks. And it's an hour or so or two video of me just explaining you kind of like the light protocol and how to use light as a healing modality safely and effectively. So if you need something like that, you can always grab that. Also listen to our prior podcast. You can glean a lot of information from that as well. And I want to say it is important, if you can, to expose your gut to UVB sunlight, especially because UVB will activate, I didn't have this down on the notes, but it'll activate T and B immune cells. Actually, that's why it improves the immune system. And those line the gut lining. So you want to expose the skin to those frequencies, because also we're going to talk about this, but UVB is a shorter wavelength of light. It's the shortest wavelength that comes through the atmosphere. There's also UVC, which doesn't even make it through, right? But UVB is pretty short. So if you have any clothing, it will not penetrate through, right? Literally no clothing will penetrate through with UVB. So it's good to get that gut exposed and then help to prepare that, like those microbes there. Because UVB light not only has those B and T cell immune cells, right? But the reason why is that light also helps balance the gut flora and also can help get rid of pathogens, actually. So you want to expose that gut, if you can, to the sunlight in the correct, safe way when you have your solar callus built up, right? So you're not having any sunburns. We want to avoid that.
Now that you mentioned that, because that's always something that I struggle with. I don't know if it's because of the traveling I did, but it's these like gut issues, and tested positive for some weird amoebas before. And it was like, but it was really compromising me in certain ways, and the gut issues, what I could eat, and oh my gosh, it was just awful. So the more UVB light I've gotten, I have none of that. It's all gone.
That's awesome.
So my ability to eat certain foods much better, the bloating and all the things much better. So it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, since I've been doing circadian practices, I definitely been able to expand my diet a lot more than I was. There was a time when I was reacting to literally just about everything that I went down to just meat. So yeah, I've been able to expand a lot more, and it's a lot better. I was saying to Heather just before we got on, I said, strawberries are in season. I'm going for it. And that's usually one of my big triggers. And it didn't seem like anything happened. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that I'm going to eat the strawberries again and it's going to be okay.
Right, because there's that joy and pleasure again. We should be able to enhance our local flora, or the foods stuffs that are in season at the farmer's market, and not worry about it. Right. 100%. I mean, within reason, of course. I don't want to eat 3 cartons of strawberries, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about just the 3 and 4 and T3 and T4 actually stand for iodine, and that we need adequate iodine for your thyroid to function. And we have to avoid fluoride if we want to have adequate iodine, because fluoride is a toxin that will block the absorption of iodine. So you can also increase your thyroid health just by consuming more DHA, because you're going to have more iodine with wild-caught seafood and seaweed, but also eliminating your fluoride consumption, which is In a lot of things. It's in our drinking water. So you're going to have to filter your tap water if you're drinking tap, or switch to some sort of bottled water or something like that, not in plastic and glass, or, something like that. You have to switch your water intake because that's one of the biggest ways we get fluoride. And then in toothpaste would be the other way, or at the dentist. I just made an appointment for my kids for the dentist, and I always say there's no fluoride, there's no x-rays. They can get a teeth cleaning, but that's it. Like, they don't get any of that. Like, it's not happening. I mean, I used to feed my kids fluoride gummies before I knew it was bad for me. But then when I learned all these things, yes, it was in the vitamins, Heather.
Fluoride gummies?
Oh, it was in the vitamins, Heather.
Oh,
There was fluoride in the vitamins, and my pediatrician had recommended them. And I'm like, oh my God. It actually is like a neurotoxin and destroys literally their cognition.
Oh, I know. Fluoride is horrible.
Fluoride is horrible. So this is when I didn't know, right? So you grow, you make better choices.
So I didn't know they put it in supplements. That's just, well, I guess if it's toothpaste, they might as well. That's awful.
It doesn't even help the teeth issue, by the way. I think Kelly Bento had mentioned that on the podcast that we did about oral health.
No, so it contributes to fluorosis, which is, really bad for your teeth.
So bad. Yeah.
So, but all day long, you want to get sunlight any time of day, because it's always red and infrared is 42 to 48% of the sunlight's frequencies. And that red and infrared light is what helps to, as Vanessa mentioned before, boost your subcellular. I can't talk today.
It's okay. Subcellular.
Yeah. So, and that's what your mitochondria use for the cleaning and repairing. It's antioxidant properties. And the infrared does penetrate through your clothing. So that's good. But I still like skin exposed, but you don't have to. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's really, really critically important about getting that red and infrared light from the sun, which is what feels warm, that's the frequency that you can feel the warmth of, is it helps your body, your mitochondria, to make exclusion zone water. So this is also known as structured water, liquid crystal water, gel water. And that is does everything, helps with cellular communication, it's a barrier that prevents toxins from entering our cells. And it helps your body with creating more energy through ATP. I mean, the easy water is so, so important. So I could go on and on about that, but
also, we have an episode on easy water, so go check that one out.
Go listen to our other podcast.
But infrared light. So this information is now coming out through Scott Zimmerman's work, and what is the other guy? I can't remember his name. It just blanked out of my head. But Scott Zimmerman, and it's coming out that the infrared actually is where we make 95% of our melatonin, and that's made in the cell of the mitochondria. So subcellular means inside of the cell. So this is the mitochondria this is the melatonin, that we need to be making. I mean, of course, the opinion that melatonin is important, but it's only 5%. The one that we make from the infrared light is 95%. And the good thing about it is, you can see me, I'm sitting next to an open window here. I got the screen completely open, the door open. I am getting infrared light onto my body, and it actually has the ability, because the UVB is that short wavelength, it's like two different spectrums, right? So one is at one end, one is at the other end, right? UVB is here, infrared is here. You can't actually see infrared, but it's this very long wavelength of light, okay? And actually can penetrate through the skin, through the clothing, through the skin, and get deep into the cells. And then it supports the mitochondria, and the mitochondria will make more of that subcellular melatonin. And that's like your body having this amazing capacity to heal literally all day long. It's like, instead of just waiting to clean up the dishes at the end of the day, right? You've cleaned up the mess all day long throughout the house, right? So it's just, to me, there's such a benefit just from having windows open, then just from being outside. Even if you're sitting in the shade, you're still getting a benefit, right? And then learning recently a little bit about more of this exclusion zone water, I didn't really understand that part about it being a barrier to stopping toxins from entering the cells as much. And also, we had Dr. Hussey on explaining how it stops the arterial plaque, right? It's a barrier for that as well. But that's really interesting. So it's almost like if you have good exclusion zone water, right, you can't get mold, you can't get parasites, you can't get Lyme, you can't get anything into the cell, because your exclusion zone water would exclude that from happening.
Yep, that's the whole point of exclusion, right?
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, right? So if you just, that correlation is it's so all day long. I want to get as much of that as I can, right?
Well, it's not about drinking water. This is different.
No.
Our body's making its own liquid crystal water that's called exclusion
Yes.
zone water. Yes, you need to drink water. You need to drink highest quality water, but this is different. Your mitochondria make this special water, and that's what Vanessa's talking about. And that is what helps with everything. And redox is reduction in oxidative phosphorylation. So you want to reduce those, the exhaust that your body makes in the process of making energy, and a bunch of other things. Like I said, cellular communication, it's everything. Like if
Everything.
you don't have enough exclusion zone water, you're going to have a lot of symptoms,
Yes. Yes. 100%.
inflammation increases and the problems start. So
Yeah. So just open your windows, guys. Let that light in as much as you can. Get outside as much as you can, because that's going to have how your body makes more. So of course, Heather and I, of course, we have many episodes on artificial blue light and how we need to wear blue blockers at night, or just not using blue rich lights at night, or not exposing ourselves to blue light at night. So whether it's blue blockers, whether it's you're going to mitigate by, having all your screens red and having red light bulbs and orange light bulbs in your house, whatever it is, but you need to be mitigating blue light at night so you can have the correct hormone signaling. This will support your metabolism, your circadian rhythm, allow your body to have this optimal healing and repair, so you can make the pineal gland melatonin, so you can get autophagy and apoptosis at night. So we're not, really having that, not having that the whole repair mechanism be suppressed. You want to get as much healing as you can when you have health issues, right? And then also, we want to cover the thyroid when you're exposed to blue light as well, because it can penetrate, if the thyroid is literally right here, it's this butterfly gland that's literally right here. There's not a lot of fat or nothing protecting it really. So it's very susceptible to blue light. So it can penetrate just a few inches deep, that blue light, into our body. So it's going to get there. And this is going to confuse your body's circadian signal. And it actually can alter the T4 to T3 conversion. And we don't want that happening, right? So just if you are exposed to artificial light at night, maybe you wear a scarf, maybe you, things like that, to just reduce that assault onto your body, I guess. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing that you want to do is, in addition to blocking artificial light at night, and that means, all your devices, you have to figure out how to cover up your neck. I would just wear a scarf or whatever, or better yet, not use them. Right? But if you have to, wear something over your neck. But is to be very wary and mindful about the amount of exposure you're getting to non-native EMFs. So these are basically your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, all of those things. Yes. And nowadays, all the appliances, and it's just pretty much everywhere. But you've got to realize that those frequencies are irritants to our cells and the mitochondria in particular. They wreak havoc with those kinds of frequencies. They prevent the mitochondria from functioning optimally. So now your exclusion zone water production is going to be decreased, and they also prevent the mitochondria from making enough melatonin, and they affect our nervous systems. They contribute to histamine issues. So like the whole cascade of health issues, just by being exposed to non-native EMFs, which then dehydrates our cells because of the exclusion zone water being decreased, then the whole cascade of issues starts. So not a good idea to be around those.
Yeah, definitely take a listen to. I think we have 2 episodes on non-native. We have more than 2. I think we have quite a few episodes on non-native EMF. So go back if you're not sure how to mitigate that. Go back and listen to those episodes and learn those mitigation strategies, and start supporting your body with that. I mean, at least turn Wi-Fi off at night, get your cell phone out of your room. Those kinds of things are really simple that anybody can do. And we do want to talk a little bit about nutrition. I think it's really important that we're eating bioavailable protein, real food. If you're not on a real food diet, nothing packaged and processed, at least move towards real foods. Even better if you can do local foods, seasonal foods. We have episodes on that as well. So take a listen to those, but definitely move away from processed packaged foods. Those are going to be loaded in deuterium, which is really another toxin to your mitochondria. And we'll talk more about that in the future, but just move from, if you're eating processed and packaged foods, at least move to whole foods, right? That would be my suggestion. And then if you can take it another step further, make sure you're doing more local, seasonal, that's even better. Definitely want to include DHA because this is really good for mitochondrial health and will support that. So bioavailable protein does not mean protein powders or collagen powders. It means the real fish, meat, eggs, things like that. This is what we mean when we say bioavailable protein. That means that your body can actually absorb and utilize that nutrition. And then I would say nutrition wise, you do want to avoid some of these triggering foods that can be really hard for thyroid health, which is going to be absolutely gluten. Some people can do better with like einkorn or spelt or something like that. Not everybody. So this is a trial and error case, right? That's more like a more ancient ancestral grain that has not been as genetically modified, but you definitely want to avoid conventional dairy. Raw might work for you, but it might not also. Depends on the person. A2, which I forgot to put on the list here, is really actually important for people with thyroid issues because the A1 protein, casein protein, can absolutely be a trigger for thyroid issues. So you want to stick with A2 dairy, A2 if you can. Nuts and seeds seem to be a very big trigger for thyroid issues. Selenium is a nutrient that you absolutely need a lot of for the thyroid. The thyroid needs a lot of selenium. You're going to get that if you're eating, proteins like pork and turkey and chicken and beef and fish and shellfish and eggs. Another one is shiitake mushrooms is high in selenium. Iodine we mentioned before. You want to get the seaweed, the fish, the shellfish, and then meal timing is going to be huge for thyroid health. Also, you want to avoid the snacking and the grazing and be eating kind of with the sun, the rhythm of the sun. That's going to be really supportive. But you just want to avoid the snacking and the grazing to like stop stimulating the gut to have to be working so hard all the time. Basically, it needs some rest in between. It also is really good for leptin signaling to have the space between your meals. So, and that's really important as well. So I have an ancestral seasonal local diet ebook as well. So you can grab that if you like, and that will give you a lot of support on just how to implement a seasonal diet if you're not really sure how to do that. And I'm working on a recipe book, and I keep saying I'm going to be done with it soon.
Wow.
I keep adding more recipes. I just keep doing that. Like, when I don't know, I might just take some more time, but I'm excited about it because it's going to have the seasonal local, aspect first. So you'll learn all about how to implement a seasonal diet and why it's so important. And then there'll be, lots of recipes to go with that. And then it actually will say like when you should eat that recipe due to the season, so that'll be fun. I'm really excited about that, but it's an ongoing thing that I'm doing.
So also what we have to always keep in mind for our overall health and especially hormonal health is to avoid toxins, which are unfortunately ubiquitous, right? They're everywhere in our food. So buying organic to avoid that glyphosate and other toxic chemicals, avoid deuterium, which basically means you're not going to eat out of season because that's the best way to make sure that you're not getting too much deuterium, which is that heavy hydrogen that bogs down your ATP production. Fluoride, so don't drink tap water, right? Medications have lots of toxins in them. They're basically all made from petroleum, which is easy to find on the internet. I just looked it up yesterday, actually. And you want to avoid vitamin D supplementation because vitamin D is a hormone and that will negatively impact your thyroid receptors. So don't do that. Sauna and red light therapy are really good options in order to support your overall health and to basically for detox, for energy, for all different kinds of things, for inflammation, and to enhance your exclusion zone water and that subcellular melatonin production. Another thing, which is, again, back to my theme of pleasure, is earthing, which is so helpful for helping your body to gather free electrons from the Earth's magnetic negative charge, which is a Schumann's resonance. And it helps your overall body's energy, the net negative charge that we have. It helps balance the nervous system and cortisol and reduce inflammation. It's just very soothing. So it gives you energy and it calms you down. So we want to support redox before detoxing, all the things that I just mentioned. So in other words, you want to make sure you're allowing your body to gather as much energy as possible from the sun, from earthing, and things like that, so that it can help your body to detox. But also if you were going to do some specific kind of there's a liver cleanse and there's all that kind of stuff, but you want to make sure before you're doing anything like too much sauna that kind of thing, that your body has enough energy to actually expel and the detox pathways are working. And also there's things like castor oil packs on the thyroid and liver. You want to make sure your body has enough energy to do what it needs to do before you do any kind of things like that.
Yeah. I find castor oil packs to be pretty fairly gentle, but you definitely want to be doing these things in conjunction with that, right? Because all of the things that Heather and I mentioned on this podcast today will support detox pathways. Literally every single thing we mentioned will support that, because it's going to build your redox, right? So it's going to support your ability to detox. And castor oil packs, like I said, are gentle, but they're really supportive on pulling toxins out of the liver, out of the thyroid, things like that. So I find them to be supportive for me, and for clients also. Of course, the other thing that Heather and I do, being both classical homeopaths, is homeopathy is a really great way to help, get to the real root causes of these thyroid imbalances. There are many remedies that balance the thyroid, so we can't really say take this specific remedy, because that's not how homeopathy works, right? We always support the symptoms, not the disease diagnosis. So we're not like, this is the thyroid remedy. We treat you, we treat the individual and the symptoms that you are experiencing. And that's how you actually get to the root cause of why you develop that thyroid issue. And it could be many different things, from hormonal issues to suppressed eruptions to, all the things you mentioned before in the triggers, right? To the different mental emotional things that we see. So there's certain remedies that, can be in a hypothyroid state where they have brittle nails and their hair is falling out and they have pain in their breast tenderness before their menses, and they're always constipated and they don't have any urge and they go days without it and they're really fatigued. That's one remedy. And there's another remedy. Well, that remedy I was just mentioning also craves sweets, but then there's another remedy that can be in a hypothyroid state that doesn't crave sweets, and they can gain weight very easily as well, but they don't desire sweets, and they have a lot of suppressed skin eruptions and gut infections, right? And they also can have a hypothyroid state. So it's different remedies treat different situations based on what you're experiencing, right? And there's other remedies that, can exhibit the more hyperthyroid state where they have the heart palpitations and a ton of energy and they have the constant diarrhea and all of that. Or there's other remedies that, we have that kind of throat closing and we can't express our emotions, or we have some stuck grief, and homeopathy can help bring all of that out. Or there's another remedy that is great for the thyroid that is also can express in a way that it's just this exhausted state that's overworked and has a lot of hormonal issues, right? They're overburdened, overworked, they have a lot of hormonal issues, and they just have a lot of stagnant emotions, right? So it really depends on your unique symptoms, your unique circumstance, how you're expressing these thyroid symptoms, and what are those specific triggers to you that were the impetus to you developing thyroid issues, right? So it's really, homeopathy is literally an amazing medicine. It can remove the bricks on the immune system, from the suppressive therapies, from those trapped emotions or suppressed emotions. So something that, I'm currently taking new homeopathic clients. If you want to work with me, to help get to the root causes of your thyroid issues, a homeopathy consult is very different. I will ask you all kinds of different strange and weird questions to really help trying to figure out, you and your symptoms and find the best remedy that matches you. And they really get to it's almost like a therapy session too, right? I had a client say that to me recently. She's like, can we do this every week? It's like a therapy session. I'm like, if you'd like to, yes. Because it is, because you're kind of talking through all your things. And that actually leads to certain remedies, because certain remedies, that consultation actually makes them feel better, right? So even that is a symptom. Everything is a symptom. Are you sighing a lot? Are you yawning a lot? Are you clearing your throat a lot? Are you restless? Are you playing with your hands? All these things make such a difference to the homeopath. So it's a different modality maybe than we're used to, but they're really figuring out you and your unique symptom and matching the remedy to you. Mm-hmm. So if you're not interested in homeopathic care, I also offer personalized healthcare plans with individualized protocols for summer and winter with the video recording. And I explain the root causes of your issues that you're struggling with and can work with you on that way. Or I have 2 spots for one-to-one coaching. So all of those are ways you can work with me. You can check me out at brightlightwellnesscoach.com and see what works for you.
Yes, highly recommend Vanessa's homeopathic skills. She's amazing. Yeah, so you've had such good success with clients in homeopathy, and it's an energetic quantum medicine, right? So it's frequency of whatever your issues are, the remedy matches that. And just remember, you guys, that Rockefeller, when he was trying to take over the whole medical system, he basically shunned and, disparaged homeopathy, but kept it for himself. So that tells you a lot.
Three homeopaths. Yeah.
He had 3.
He didn't need one. He needed 3 of them. The episode that with Jacob Diaz will be out already when this one comes out, because that's coming out. So you take a listen to the episode that we just did with Jacob Diaz, because that explains really the whole corruption of the medical system. So definitely tune into that one.
Yeah, well, this has been a fantastic episode, Vanessa. Thyroid health is something that we all need to be aware of in the specifics of it, and then in the larger context of what supports our health overall, and what are those connections and how that all works together. So thank you for sharing.
Yes, I had a beautiful time chatting with you about this, and it's near and dear to my heart because I've dealt with thyroid issues myself, and I know you have too. So it's really something that I feel called to share and support people on, because there are so many solutions out there and so many ways that we can really make that whole situation a lot better for us. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining today's show. For more information about Heather and her offerings, see her Instagram at Heather Crimson, or go to her website at enlightenedmood.com.
And for more information about Vanessa's offerings, visit her Instagram at bright_light_wellness and her website at brightlightwellnesscoach.com. See you next week.